You are listening to This is Product Marketing, brought to you by Product Marketing Hive, a product marketing community that gives back. In this episode, Brian Martell, Vice President of Product Marketing at Cube, shares his product marketing journey and how he introduced product marketing to his organization. Let's dive into it right now. It is not uncommon for product marketers to find themselves in a situation where very few people in the organization understand what product marketing does. Today, we're happy to have Brian Martell share his story of introducing product marketing and building awareness within the organization. After starting his career at Ernst & Young and working in corporate finance for 5 years, Brian began his SaaS software career at Host Analytics, now Planful, which is a financial planning and analysis software platform for corporate finance teams, as a solution architect in the professional services team, helping customers implement and go live on the platform. During his tenure at Planful, he transitioned into product marketing as Director of Product Marketing. Today, he is Vice President of Product Marketing at Cube, and he is an active member of our community Product Marketing Hive. So welcome to the show, Brian.
Thank you very much for having me. It's nice to be here.
Great. So talk to me about your transition in product marketing. How did you get into product marketing?
Yeah, so my path to product marketing, probably not your traditional path, if there is such a thing. But I really came into product marketing through the professional services path, right? Which I think is a little unusual. So as you mentioned at the top of the call, I was well, actually, first I started my career as the persona. That's probably the most important thing to say. So I spent the first 5 years of my career working first in public accounting as an auditor, and then as a member of an FP&A team. And of course, now I work within the FP&A software space. From there, I transitioned into a consulting role where I was first an implementation consultant and then a solution architect, actually helping customers design and implement these FP&A software tools. So my background was really rooted in having a deep understanding of the persona, the business problems, the use cases, and the actual application of these software tools in the marketplace. So I think, while it's perhaps a little untraditional or non-traditional, it certainly was a valuable one, because I did have this really deep understanding of how customers actually use these tools. So in that sense, it really was a great path. I think it's worked out really well for me, particularly in the space that I'm in. Yeah, it's been a great journey.
Often product marketers, they are coming from like a pre-sale or sales engineering background. But interestingly, you transition from a solution architect to product marketing. So it's more of a kind of post-sale role. So what do you find most challenging in this transition?
Yeah, I think it's a good distinction, right? I think you're right. You typically do see a lot of solution engineers, solution consultants, sort of that's more of a traditional path into product marketing, whereas my solution architect professional services background is certainly more on the post-sale side. But I think there's also certainly a lot of overlap and synergy there. I think the first thing is, I've always been passionate about technology in this space, coming from the persona world and then sort of seeing firsthand how technology could really help improve the lives of finance professionals. I was just very passionate about that from day one. So I think that passion certainly helped me. I always loved being an evangelist of these solutions as well. So, it was a genuine interest and passion. I think what was hard for me was I needed to learn the technical fundamentals of product marketing. So that was all new to me. And basically my approach to solve that problem was I really immersed myself deep into the new opportunity and into the world of product marketing. I read everything I could get my hands on. I read all the blogs, listened to the podcasts, participate in communities like PMM Hive. And I curated, or I did my best to curate mentors. Mentors is a big part of my success. I was really lucky to have Dave Kellogg, my then CEO at Host Analytics, who came from a product marketing and marketing background, kind of really sort of take me under his wing a little bit and mentor me on the product marketing fundamentals. So that was a huge help. But I really had to immerse myself into it and commit to it and acknowledge that, I have this huge open flank on the traditional product marketing skill set that I have to solve for as quickly as possible. And that's the way I went about it.
Yeah. So what kind of advice would you give to people who are thinking about transitioning from professional services to product marketing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great career path for those people who are interested in it. I think do a little bit of homework in terms of what's involved. I mean, I think it's a really dynamic and exciting career path because you do so many things, right? You have your hands in positioning and messaging and in content and go to market strategy and sales enablement. And I mean, as your listeners know, the scope of what product marketing does is deep and wide. So in that sense, it's an incredibly rewarding and exciting career. I mean, no 2 days are the same.
I think it's a really fun job. It's really
Oh,
fun.
it's great. Yeah, and I think for those people who come from a product background or come from a customer facing background, it can be a great avenue to explore. I think it's helpful, if you do have a passion to write, if you do have a passion to present, if you enjoy being in front of prospects and customers and sort of a more vocal role. I mean, it helps if you're comfortable public speaking, as an example. Um, but I think first and foremost, like the foundation is you just have to really have the passion for it. You have to have a passion for the technology, for the space or the category you operate in, and really immerse yourself in it. And if you're willing and able to do that, I mean, there are a lot of different avenues that can lead you to product marketing if you have the right mindset and
Yeah.
attitude for it.
Yeah. So let's talk about your current role at Cube. So you mentioned in our product marketing Hive community Select, when you joined Cube, many folks in the company were not very familiar with product marketing. So you sat down and spent some time with them and introduced product marketing to them. A lot of people in our community are very interested in what you presented. So how did you introduce product marketing to your organization?
Yeah, sure. So, well, first of all, I'll caveat this by saying I think this is a common problem that product marketers everywhere experience. I know this is a topic on the product marketing Hive community is it's very common for an organization to not fully understand what the product marketing team does. Do they live in marketing? Do they live in product? Are they sales enablement? How do they get measured? What do they deliver? It's a very sort of ambiguous sort of field. And so I recently joined an early stage startup, kind of very early on in its development. It's still a small team. And so, by nature of being an early stage company, we're putting a lot of the building blocks and basic infrastructure in place, and in terms of building out individual teams and functions, and kind of educating cross-functionally what each of us does. So I saw the opportunity to say, hey, what if I set up a little 15-minute spotlight on our next company, All Hands, and just do a little tutorial. And that's what I did. And it was basically a forum to say, hey, chances are pretty high you guys probably aren't super familiar with product marketing or what product marketing does. So let me take 15 minutes to kind of walk you through it and
Mm-hmm.
get you sort of centered in what it's all about. And by virtue of doing that, I sort of selfishly, started building a base of influence by getting people kind of bought into the value that I can provide and in the agenda I hope to employ here at the
Yeah,
company.
it certainly is important to build early base of influence in the company. It will help a lot.
Well, yeah, and that was really my goal was building a base of influence. I mean, yes, my goal was also to educate the company for those people who weren't as familiar with product marketing. That was certainly the goal too. But as I said, kind of selfishly, to build a base of influence because I really believe that product marketing has so much value to offer an organization. Um, like I said, we just have our hands in so many different parts of the go to market activities that there's so much value to add. And typically, product marketing is sort of the bridge between all those different go to market teams. And in that sense, we can kind of be, the glue that holds things together and connects the dots. And so there's a huge opportunity there. But to be able to do all of that, you need to have your organization aware of what you do, aware of the value that you provide, make them aware of how you're going to be able to help them be successful. You need that visibility. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to really maximize or optimize the impact you have on your organization. So to me, it was really a question of necessity. I need to get this function visible in the company in order to go do what I want to do.
One of my many favorite quotes from Dave Kellogg is, "Marketing exists to make sales easier." This is certainly true with product marketing.
Yeah, well, actually, that's a great call. So I was very, very fortunate to work for Dave Kellogg, under Dave Kellogg, through a couple of layers of management. But he was the CEO while I was at Host Analytics for a number of years, and he was actually the person who got me into product marketing while I was there, and he was very gracious to kind of offer himself as a mentor to me as I got started. So Dave Kellogg will forever be an incredibly important person to me in my career. I know your audience is familiar with Dave, but if you're not, he has a fantastic blog, kellblog.com, on all things SaaS management and leadership and marketing. It's just a fantastic blog. It's a must read for anybody in marketing. But yeah, so as part of, so basically what I did this 15-minute spotlight in my first company, All Hands, and I said, okay, how am I going to teach my company what product marketing is all about? Like, what do I want to tell them? What do I want to say? And as I was preparing for that little presentation, I said to myself, well, hang on, maybe I should take a quick step back and start at the beginning, which is, what does marketing do? Before I get to what product marketing does, let's take a step back and say, what does marketing do? Because even though that might seem like a self-evident answer, certainly to marketers in the audience, to people who have never worked in marketing, you'd kind of be surprised how many people just don't totally know what they do. Like some people are like, oh, they do the newsletter, or, oh, they do social media, or they do the website or whatever. And it's like, yes, it's those things, but it's so much more than that. So yeah, I took a step back and I said, okay, well, let's answer that question first. And the best definition I've ever heard on what is marketing, it came from Dave Kellogg, which is marketing exists to make sales easier. Dave is a famous reductionist. He believes in distilling everything down to its most simple and basic form to kind of communicate the essence of something. And that phrase really stuck with me. I first heard that 4 or 5 years ago, and I think about it daily, which is, if you just think about what marketing does, which is to make sales easier, everything else kind of falls into place, as he would put it. And you don't need to really get yourself super buried in all of the detail of, what does demand gen do? What does PR do and AR do? And what's a campaign versus a program? And if you just think of it in its most basic sense, marketing exists to make sales easier, right? Marketing is responsible for getting high quality leads into the sales funnel. Those leads turn into high quality opportunities. Sales then works those leads to close them, which turns into revenue, which makes the company grow, and everybody gets paid. So, I think that's a fairly good 30,000 foot definition just to get the non-marketing folks in your company kind of oriented around what you do.
So here I wanted to remind everybody to check out an article on how to build a base of product marketing influence by Brian on our website. You can also download a free ready-to-use presentation slides to help you introduce product marketing and build influence in your own organization. So clearly, when you joined product marketing, you were for sure a domain expert in corporate finance. And then I know a lot of people, when they're hiring product marketers, they often ask themselves, do I want someone who knows everything about product marketing, but probably not much of a domain expertise? Or do I want to hire somebody who is a domain expert, probably need to learn more about product marketing? Really hard to find someone who is good at both. So how do you think about building out a product marketing team?
Yeah, so this is one of the toughest questions to answer as a product marketing team leader. I will caveat this and say that I have not figured out the silver bullet answer yet. If anybody has, please connect with me on the Slack community, because I'd love an answer. But it's no doubt a super hard question to answer, right? I've seen it done different ways, with different outcomes. Obviously, you want to find someone with both skill sets if you can, but that's incredibly difficult to find. So be ready to wait a really long time to find that perfect person, or maybe never. So basically, you'll quickly find yourself in a situation where you have to pick you have to kind of over index on one set of skills versus the other. So I did put together some suggestions on how I've approached this problem in the past. First of all, I would say, you really can't put a price on that product and subject matter expertise. So one way or another, you're going to need to source that expertise somewhere. Um, if you hire somebody who really doesn't have any of it, or if you can't find that expertise elsewhere in your organization, that's really just going to kind of set you back a bit. So here are some thoughts to think about that have kind of been helpful for me in my experience. First of all, you want to think about what kind of product marketing team does your company need right now, right? What's the priority? Is it more around sales enablement? Is it more around positioning and messaging? Is it more around content creation? Do you need a very product focused product marketing team, somebody who's really attached the hip to the product management team and helping feed them with intel from the market so they can build a great product or a feature set? Typically, you might find that you're going to prioritize one or two of those things over the others, right? It's typically the more mature companies that are tackling all of those different areas simultaneously. So I find that's a good first question, right? If you're more of a sales enablement focused product marketing team, then over index on sales enablement sets. If you're more of a product oriented team or a positioning and messaging oriented team, then you're really, really going to need somebody with that product and subject matter expertise. The next thing I would say is, can you leverage, if you can't find those product and subject matter expertise in your product marketing candidates, right off the bat, can you leverage product and subject matter experts in other departments in your company, right? Could you tap the solution consulting team, the solution engineering team? Could you tap the product team or the customer success team, right? Are there other people in the company who can supplement that gap in skill set, at least for the time being? That's one approach. Typically, you'll have a lot of product and subject matter experts across the company. So see where you can kind of fill that gap, at least temporarily. Other options is you can leverage contractors or consultants and kind of divide and conquer. You can make the case for two different hires with complementary skill sets, right? Maybe one hire who's more of a content creation expert, and another hire that's maybe more of the product and subject matter expert. So leveraging two hires can work as well. And then, I think the final thought I'd have is, can you afford to take a gamble on an up and comer? This was kind of my story a little bit,
Yeah.
Is there sort of a hidden gem somewhere in your organization that you could say, hey, that person has the potential to be a really great product marketer, and they come to the table with the product and subject matter expertise. Maybe they could be, a long-term bet on a really great solution. So couple of thoughts there, but it is absolutely a really hard question to answer. And you just have to kind of balance the equation the best you can.
Yeah. Okay, so we're getting to the end of our time here. Any final thoughts to people who find themselves they need to introduce product marketing to their organization?
Yeah, I mean, just to recap, what worked well for me, really kind of the three things I took to my approach with that 15-minute spotlight I did in my company, All Hands. Number one, find the forum to teach your company what marketing and product marketing is all about. I did it in an All Hands meeting, but you could do a Friday lunch and learn. You can find all different forums and venues around the company to get in front of your organization, but just make sure you do it somehow. Number two, I would say teach them the basics of marketing and product marketing, but do it in a way where you keep it simple. Don't get too technical. Don't get too down in the weeds. And then number three, I would say frame it in a way that shows your organization how your existence is going to help them do their jobs better. This is a really key thing, right? Don't make it all about yourself. Don't just say, hey, this is what we do. Frame it in a way that says, this is how what we do makes your life better, right? So, you can tell the sales team, hey, bring me onto a sales call. I'll be happy to deliver an amazing demo that'll help you close the deal. Or, bring great new fresh messaging to the demand gen team that drives more high quality leads to the website. Things like that, like make it real, make it tangible, so that audience is going to leave and say, oh, wow, Brian Martell and his team are going to put a deliverable on my desk that is going to make my life easier. It's going to give me the ability to close more deals faster. It's going to help us drive more traffic to the website. It's going to make a product that's stickier. It's going to help us build a feature that customers are going to love, and therefore it's going to increase lifetime value. You just got to put it in the context of their world and how it's a benefit to them.
Okay. That's very insightful. I think a lot of people would benefit from our talk today. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming to the show.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for tuning into This is Product Marketing, brought to you by Product Marketing Hive, a product marketing community that gives back. Check out our website, productmarketinghive.com, to join our community, meet fellow product marketers, and access free resources, including training, playbooks, templates, and events. If you enjoyed our podcast, please subscribe and give a 5-star rating on the platform of your choice. See you next time.